Welcome back, Ninja community and persons that might have watched my quality statement and disclaimer video. If you haven't seen that already, you should probably go and check that out. In this video, I'm going to be covering some ninja arts and crafts. Okay, so I'll go over a few different projects. I'll even work on one while I'm talking. But before I get into that, I'm really going to talk a little bit about I suppose I'll run through my quality statement and disclaimer real quick. For those that haven't seen my quality statement and disclaimer video, this is mostly for liability, as some of the ninja language could be considered deadly. So, bear with me real quick. The viewer understands my quality statement and disclaimer video. Additionally agrees that this video could be treated as is with ballistic protection, which in short means I don't have a seal on it, therefore I don't guarantee the techniques and or your application of the techniques. But if you're watching this video with the intention of using any of its content in committing a crime, that is also a crime. Actually using any of my content in committing a crime is an additional crime. Additionally, the viewer understands that this is my intellectual property that I'm allowing others to view. So, as I have just went through all of that, I will get into some ninja arts and crafts. Okay, I did an earlier video on the whip chain, and I was running into some issues as I was doing the demonstration, but it just sort of rolled with it. One of the issues was that it didn't want to move the way that I was accustomed to, and the reason was that it didn't have proper weight distribution on the end, right? So I'm going to go through how to make an improvised, or how ninja would do some ninja arts and crafts on the spot to improvise a whip chain weapon, right? You want some weight on the end, like basically putting knots. Now I could probably do a better one given more time. However, this will be something for just making an improvised whip chain. So start with a chain that you can probably pick up at like a hardware store, like I did. Okay, and you want it to be about 6 feet long, or maybe a little bit longer, slightly, but about 6 feet long. Okay, and you can do this, grab that, go through. You have weight on the end. You can even move the knot, right? And say you want about 2 on one end, probably, and then 1 on the other end. And you can check out my other video on the whip chain. I'll do a few lessons with demonstrations on it. Okay, now see, that should be about right. Okay, right? Some ninja arts and crafts. Okay, so improvised whip chain. Now moving on to the 2 shields in the background, if you can see those. To this side here, I have a Viking style round shield, and down here in the floor, probably difficult to see, I have what is supposed like my rendition of the supposed shield of Asia. I'll cover some of that here in a little while here. Okay, this is a comma. I want to do a little bit of upkeep on this comma. Okay, putting a little bit of lacquer, or this is stainer lacquer on the handle. Now the comma, along with the nunchuck, which you saw this right here, nunchuck and the comma, and of course the side is something that most people had about one of these. Okay? In Asia, if there was a would-be warlord, he would convince a village to follow him into battle. And most of what they had to work with was basically stuff like this, like a farming tool, what they started off with, like a nunchuck or a comma. They typically didn't have 2 per person, like a sai, comma, and nunchuck. Well, when a would-be warlord would convince a bunch of people to follow him, they would typically attack a neighboring village. And pretty much all these people had was farming tools and the clothes on their back. So a lot of times they would put the option there of that they could surrender, and some of them could live, which would typically be join them, or that they would take them all out. And when they took them all out, a lot of times what they would do in those times was they would do something very barbaric. This is, of course, why I have a quality statement disclaimer. This is quite barbaric. So, if you'd rather not listen to something pretty gory, because this is ninja arts and crafts, by the way, you probably should know that you also can't take offense, as per my quality statement, etc. Okay. What they would do is they would make a mound of dirt, like a small mound of dirt. And they would take the clothing off of their vanquished enemies and their blood, and they'd mix it together using the blood kind of like a glue. And the fabric would harden into a material that would typically be used for some type of armored hat. Okay, now you see the shield that's back here, my rendition of the supposed shields in Asia, or the rendition of a hat, an armored hat, as done per ninja tradition. That's not actually made out of the blood of my enemies. That's made out of improvised materials that you can pick up at a hardware store, like glue and fabric and paper. Okay, now the Vikings, kind of like this shield back here, they typically started with like the finished version. Like it's a little bit more complicated than just a big piece of wood, but it's rather so simple, and it also works very, like they had to be like a genius. But on the outside of their shield, they typically had layers of linen and rawhide. And what they would do, the Vikings would do at the end of a battle or skirmish, is they would replace the rawhide and glue the fabric somehow. Now see, I know how the ninjas make glue. They typically make it out of blood, if they can't get ligaments and other things like that to make into glue. But I don't know how the Vikings, I can guess, they probably did much like the ninja. But they would replace the rawhide, damaged rawhide on the outside of their shield, with things they would find off the battlefield, also the linen. And it was very common practice for them to put, they didn't have enough rawhide to just, or sometimes use the armor of their enemies on their shields. So if they were fighting very far inland, a lot of times the people that would be fighting, they would be seeing the clothing of their neighbors or their armor being worn on the shields, or in some cases even faces, which I imagine was a very good intimidation factor for the Vikings. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. Let's see if I can cover this. Alright, I'm going to let this one dry, and I have another one here. Okay. I've decided to talk a little bit about some paintbrush techniques. Now, if you've watched the video so far, you might as well hit like hard like a ninja and subscribe to my channel to be alerted for when I do random videos on YouTube. And you can check me out on my Facebook under my artist name or my 10th ninja name, Mel-L, that's M-E-L-E-L. And feel free to comment on this video and check out my other videos. You can share my video with people who are ninja, but not with people who ought to be ninja, because they might accidentally learn something. Now, the supposed shield of Asia, the hat that they used, that ninjas used, was typically the lowest ranking ones. They had typically only been in one battle, to get the blood and clothing or the linen to make, or basically, to make a armored hat. So they were typically the lowest ranking soldiers on the battlefield, or next to the lowest ranking soldiers. And it was very commonplace for ninja, the lowest ranking ninja, who were wearing armored hats made of the blood of their enemies and the clothes off their enemies' backs, to scale a wall. There are some supposed experts out there on the ninja, like famous, highly educated experts on the ninja, who believe that the ninja climbed up walls holding a shield shaped like that right there in the floor, slightly round, slightly curved, much like the hats of the people of the time of that area, rather than how a real ninja is telling you how a ninja would use the supposed shield of Asia, which would be a hat. They believe that these supposed experts believe that they climbed with both hands, or with one hand, and tried to hold a shield up so that their enemies wouldn't be hitting them from above. However, I say it was a hat, an armored hat, much like how in Europe their armored helmets, they evolved from basically how their typical hats would be. Even the skull cap, which was just a piece of round topped leather that people would wear, was very much turned into a metal version of it. And eventually they started bringing it lower when they ran across enemies that used the scimitar, like in the Arabs. When they came across the Arabs, they had to do something about protecting lower on the head, like protecting the neck and the back. So the European helmet evolved based off their enemies. Now I'm going to cover a little bit of ninja pressure points, how a real ninja would hit pressure points. Okay, this could work with a kubotan, much like this, or a paintbrush. This is how, this being ninja arts and crafts, this is how a ninja would paint with pain. Okay, hitting those pressure points. Now there's one pressure point here at the nose, and it's so sensitive that if your friend was to take their pinky and press it against your nose right here, you typically couldn't walk forward with just their pinky or just two fingers pressing against you. It's highly sensitive. A ninja would hit that pressure point by doing a brim shot to the nose, like right here. There's also another one under the chin. Now how a ninja would hit this pressure point under the chin is first they would probably distract you by punching you in the stomach or solar plexus and sternum. This might cause you to duck lower. When you duck lower, they would hook upwards using this. This pressure point is typically so sensitive that most people can't keep their head forward. They almost have to like raise back. Now the next pressure point is here, just below the ear, right? A ninja would hit that pressure point by first distracting you by slapping you in the face. After he slapped you in the face, he would probably do a hook shot near the ear, right? This pressure point is so sensitive that this is the pressure point that actually causes people to be knocked out from being hit on the chin, because it puts pressure on, like the jaw puts pressure on that pressure point, and then the whiplash of the jaw going back into place puts it on the other side. Most people would typically get knocked out from that hook to the chin, right? And the uppercut under the chin, which is typically a knockout move. That's how a ninja would hit those pressure points. Now there are pressure points that you can hit on the arm, right? But I'm not really going to cover those in this video. This is just mostly how a ninja would typically paint with pain. Okay, so that was Ninja Arts and Crafts. So, like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm on Facebook under my artist name Mel L, and I have an Instagram, but I'm not telling you what my Instagram name is. You'll just have to be ninja and go figure that out yourself. So, share my video with people who are ninja, but not with people who ought to be ninja, because they might accidentally learn something. So, until next time, stay ninja, my friends. Stay ninja.